Chapter 8 Formulas and Functions in Excel. Real power of Excel lies in the formulas and functions it provides. Use of formulas and functions in a worksheet allows Excel to do automatic calculations and recalculations as soon as value of any cell involved in the formula changes. There are some other benefits of using formulas and functions that you will discover while going through the chapter. Chapter What is a formula? A formula in Excel is an expression that returns a specific result. In Excel, we can use formulas for doing calculations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication and division on the worksheets. Formulas can contain cell address, operators, plus, minus, multiply, asterisk, etc., values, numbers and functions. Remember, a formula in Excel always being with an equal to is equal to sign. A single formula in Excel line may like what is given below. This formula will add the values of the cells A1, B1, C1 and D1 and display the sum in the cell where you have entered the formula. Various components that an Excel formula can have are explained in the following tables. Operators is equal to A1 plus B1 plus C1 plus D1 cell addresses. Component, explanation, use or example. Cell references or cell addresses. Cell references are included in the form of simple cell references or in the form of range or cells. Is equal to A1 plus B1 is equal to sum A1 is to A9. Operators. These are the symbols that guide the specific calculations to be performed. Plus, minus, asterisk, ampersand, forward slash, greater than, percentage and so on. Values. The values could be numeric or string. Numeric 40 and 5.5 string. Information and technology. Functions. These are built-in formulas in MS Excel. Sum, average, minimum, maximum, count. Remember, you can use values directly in the formula like is equal to 12 plus 15. This will calculate the sum of 12 and 15 and display the result 27 in the formula cell, but use of cell addresses offers more flexibility. What is rules to create formula? 1. All formulas should begin with an equal to sign. This is how Excel knows that a cell entry is a formula, not a value. 2. The formula then includes the addresses of the cells whose values will be manipulated with appropriate operators placed in between. Some common only used operators are 3. Formula can contain any combination of values, references, operators and functions. 4. Formulas are not case sensitive. It means that is equal to A1 plus B1 plus C1 plus D1 and is equal to A1 plus B1 plus C1 plus D1 are same. Quick tip. Cell references means the names of cells. Rules to create entering formulas. Formulas are entered in a cell exactly in the same way as you would any other entry in a cell. Simply click in the cell and type the equal to sign. This will convey to Excel that your entry is a formula. After the equal to sign, you can put in the remaining formula in the cell or in the formula bar. To edit the formula, you can use the formula bar. There are two types of formulas, simple and complex formulas. Let us learn how to use them with the help of examples. Simple formula. Simple or basic formulas involve only one operator in a formula. Here is an example to understand well. Follow these steps to calculate the sum of two numbers. 1. Open a new worksheet and type the contents as shown in it. 2. Now click on the cell F3 where the result of the formula is to be displayed and type the formula as is equal to D3 plus E3 to sum up the Unit 1 and Unit 2 marks of the first student. 3. Press the enter key after entering the formula. The result will be displayed in the cell F3. The formula can be copied to the other cells to complete the calculations in the sheet. To copy formula into other cells, use Ctrl plus C copy and Ctrl plus V paste or drag the fill handle to the enclose all the cells from F3 to F9. Fill handle in a small square situated at the bottom right corner of the active cell. Complex formulas. Complex formulas are used when you need more than one operator. When there is more than one operation in a formula, Excel follows certain preset rules to decide which operations it should program first. Excel performs calculations based on the following order of operations. Operations enclosed in parentheses are performed first. Then exponential calculations are performed. For example, 3 ampersand 2 in the brackets. Next, multiplication and division, whichever appears first, is performed while evaluating from left to right. Lastly, addition and subtraction operations, whichever appear first, are performed. Quick tip. A mnemonic that can help you remember the order is PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, or Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. To understand how to work with complex formulas, here is an example to calculate the sales tax. Follow these steps to create a sheet and calculate. Step 1. Open a new worksheet and type the contents in it as shown. Step 2. Click on E3 where the result of the formula is to be displayed. Type is equal to C3 into D3 to calculate the total price of each item displayed. Step 3. Press enter and the result will be displayed. Step 4. Copy the formula from E3 to E4, E5, E6 and E7 by changing the fill handle. Step 5. Now calculate the tax amount by typing the formula is equal to E3 plus E4 plus E5 plus E6 plus E7 in the bracket into 0.05 in the cell E9. This is a complex formula where both addition and multiplication operators are used. Step 6. Press the enter key to calculate the result and display it in the cell E8. Using text formulas. You can perform addition on character and string data type. Except for addition, other operations like subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. are not allowed. To add or concatenate two text strings, we used the operator AND. For example, if cell A2 contains string hello and cell B2 has string kids, then formula is equal to A2 and B2 entered in cell C2 will add the string and display the text hello kids in the cell C2. The following details can be summarized about formulas. 1. Formulas allow you to build calculations from scratch. In some cases, there may be pre-existing functions included in Excel that will be more efficient to use. 2. Formulas start with is equal to. 3. Any formula typed in a cell also appears in the formula bar. It may be accepted or not using wrong or right on the formula bar. 4. The formula automatically re-evaluates the contents of the cells. 5. The order of operations is important when working with formulas in Excel. Copying formulas. After calculating the sum for one row, the same formula can be used for adjacent rows. You can copy the formula and need not write it again for different rows. To copy a formula, 1. Click on the cell containing formula. This is your source cell. 2. On the Home tab in the Clipboard group, select Copy. You may also right-click the cell and select Copy option from the shortcut menu. 3. Select the range of cells by dragging the mouse to where you want the formula to be copied to. These are the target cells. 4. On the Home tab in the Clipboard group, select Paste. You may also right-click the cell and select Paste option from the shortcut menu. The cell reference is changed accordingly as the formulas are entering form. Cell reference. Cell reference means the cell to which another cell refers. For example, suppose in cell D3 you have entered the formula B3 plus C3. Now, here the cell D3 is referring to the cell B3 and C3. The cell reference in this example is B3 and C3. The formula is equal to B3 plus C3 is telling Excel to sum up values in cells B3 and C3 and display it in the cell D3. Similarly, if we have entered a function say is equal to sum B1 is to B10 in the bracket in cell, the cell reference will be B1 is to B10. The function here is cell Excel to add all the values in cell B1 to B10 and display the sum in the cell containing the function. Types of cell references. As can be seen above, cell references are a key element of formulas and functions. There are types of cell references: relative, absolute and mixed. Let us learn about them. Advantages of cell referencing. Cell referencing is used in formulas, functions, charts, etc. The advantages of cell referencing are: 1. The formula automatically updates with respect to the cell address. 2. Copying a formula is very easy. You just need to drag the cursor for copying the formula. Relative reference. By default, all cell references are relative references. When copied across multiple cells, they change based on the relative position of rows and columns. For example, if you copy the formula is equal to A1 plus B1 from row 1 to row 2, the formula will become is equal to A2 plus B2. Relative references are especially convenient whenever you need to repeat the same calculation across multiple rows or columns. When you create a formula references to a cell or range are usually based on the position relative to the cell. Let us see an example of performing calculations in Excel. 1. Create a worksheet and enter the data as given below. 2. Enter the formula to calculate the total in D3. 3. Press enter on your keyboard. The formula will be calculated and the result will be displayed in the cell. 4. Locate the fill handle in the bottom right corner of the desired cell. Click, hold and drag the fill handle over the cells you want to fill. 5. Release the mouse. The formula will be copied to the selected cells with relative references and the values will be calculated in each cell. Cell absolute reference. Absolute reference is used when you do not want to change the cell references in a formula while copying it to another cell. To make absolute reference of a formula, add $sign before the column and row number is equal to $A, $1 plus $A, $2 in single quote is an example of absolute reference. Here is an example explaining the use of absolute reference. In our example, we will use a worksheet with details of some products. We will need to use the absolute cell reference to calculate the VAT value in our formula. Because each formula is using the VAT value, we want its reference to remain constant when the formula is copied and filled in other cells in column D. 1. Create a worksheet and enter the data as given below. 2. Enter the formula to calculate the desired value. In our example, we will type formula is equal to C3 plus C3 into $C$11 in the bracket to calculate the total price in D3. 3. Press enter on your keyboard. The formula will be calculated and the result will be displayed in the cell. 4. Locate the fill handle in the bottom right corner of the cell D3 and drag to highlight cell up to D5. Release the mouse. The formula will be copied to the selected cells with an absolute reference and the values will be calculated in each cell. You can double click the filled cells to check their formulas for accuracy. The absolute reference should be the same for each cell, while the other references vary with the cell's row. Mixed reference. A combination of relative and absolute referencing is called mixed referencing. A mixed reference has either an absolute row and relative column or absolute column and relative row. You add the dollar before the column letter to create an absolute column or before the row number to create an absolute row. Examples of mixed referencing. Serial number reference meaning 1. $A4. Column A is absolute while row 4 is relative. 2. $6. The column E is relative and row 6 is absolute. Absolute reference. Common formula errors. MS Excel will display an error message if the formula is not evaluated. Following are a few common errors. Hashtag, when a column is not enough or negative time or date is used. Hash null, when you specify an intersection of two areas that do not intersect. Hashtag value, when wrong type of operand is used. Hashtag name, when text is not recognized in a formula. Hashtag NA, when a value is not available to function or formula. Hashtag ref, when a cell reference is not valid. Common Functions. As we know, a formula in a spreadsheet is a mathematical equation used to perform simple calculations which involve addition, multiplication, division and subtraction. To perform simple as well as difficult calculations, functions are used. Functions are predefined formulas. Like formulas, functions begin with the equal sign, followed by the function name and its arguments. The function name tells Excel what calculation to perform. The arguments are contained inside round brackets. An example of a typical Excel function is given below. Is equal to sum B1 is to B6 in the bracket. Function sum arguments. One of the key benefits of functions is that they can save time. While using functions, the order in which you insert a function is important as each function has a specific order called syntax, which must be followed for the function to work correctly. Functions. As we inserting functions in a worksheet. Excel has hundreds of functions to save you from having to write out complex or repetitive formulae yourself. Here are some ways of inserting functions in a worksheet. 1. Functions can be inserted by clicking on the function symbol fx to the left of the formula bar. 2. Functions can also be inserted by clicking on the Insert Function button on the Formula tab or jumping to any of the subcategories of functions on the tab. 3. Another way to insert a function is to type the equal to sign into a cell and begin to type the name of a function. A drop-down menu will appear from which you can select the function. Inserting common Excel functions. Excel has hundreds of functions for doing different types of calculations and comparisons. Some commonly used functions are sum, average, max, minimum, count, etc. Let us learn about them in a little detail. 1. Sum function. The sum function is probably the most used Excel function of all. It sums up all values in one or more ranges given to it as arguments. Syntax. Sum arguments. Example, sum A1 is to A10 in the bracket. This will calculate the sum of values stored in cells from the cell references A1 to A10. In the following worksheet, to calculate the total marks for every child, write the sum function in the cell E3 as is equal to sum C3 is to D3 in the bracket and press the enter key. Then copy the function in the rest of the cells. The following output will be generated. Max. This function is used to find the maximum value from a given range of values. Syntax is equal to max range of values. This will find the largest value from the given cell range. Example, max C2 is to C11 in the bracket. It will find the longest value in the cell range A11 to A19 and display it in the function containing cell. In the following worksheet, use of max C2 is to C11 in the bracket function in cell C12 displays the maximum in the cell range C2 to C11. 3. Minimum. This function is used to find the minimum value from a given range of values. Syntax is equal to minimum range of values. This will find the smallest value from the given cell range. Example, min C2 is to C11 in the bracket. Find the smallest value in the range D1 is to D10. In the following worksheet, min C2 is to C11 in the bracket finds the smallest value in the range C2 to C11 in the bracket and displays it in C12. 4. Average. This function is used to find average of values from a given range. Syntax is equal to average range of values. This will find the average of values from the given cell range. Example, average C2 is to C11 in the bracket. In the following worksheet, function average C2 is to 11 in the bracket finds the average of marks in cells C2 to C11 and displays in C12. 5. Count. This function is used to count the total number of non-blank and non-character values. That is, it gives the count of only the numeric values. Syntax is equal to count range of values. Example, count C2 is to C11 in the bracket. In the example, function count C2 is to C11 in the bracket counts the resultant number value in the range C2 to C11 and returns the result in cell C12. 6. If. This is one of the most useful and interesting functions. When you want to make decisions on the basis of the values stored in the spreadsheet, you use if function. Syntax is equal to if open bracket less than condition greater than comma value if the condition is true comma value if the condition is false bracket close. In continuation of the above example, if you want to show pass for all the values of the marks above 50 and fail for the rest of the values, write the function in the cell D2 as is equal to if open bracket C2 greater than 5, 6, comma pass, comma fail, bracket close. The following output will be generated. Common Excel sum up. Formulas in Excel always start with an equal to sign. Concepts of referring to the cell address with respect to the formula is called cell referencing. Excel provides us three types of cell references: relative, absolute, and mixed referencing. In relative referencing, when a formula is copied to another cell, it changes relative to the address of the cell. Absolute referencing refers to referencing in which cell address does not change with respect to the formula. Combination of relative and absolute referencing is called mixed referencing. Functions are predefined formulas. Sum function is used to find the sum of all the values in a given cell range. Minimum function is used to find the minimum value from a given range of values. Maximum function is used to find the maximum value from a given range of values. Average function is used to find average of values from a given range. Count function is used to count the total number of non-blank and non-character values. If function is used when decision making is required.